So generally speaking, most Bitcoin miners are going to run fairly noisy because they have to have a bunch of cooling here to keep the ASICs nice and chilly. The ASICs are the chips that are actually doing the hashing, and they can get really hot when they're running. Now, with the Nerd QAxe Plus Hydro here, this actually uses water cooling in place of a big heatsink and fan here to keep those ASICs from overheating. And so for that reason, without this fan, it's going to run a little bit quieter. That said, there are still two fans here. If you take a look at the back, there's one big fan right here that's designed to keep the radiator nice and cool. This is actually what's helping to cool down the water as it flows through the system. And there's also a second fan that's built in here. It's designed to run on the back here to cool down the voltage regulators in the Nerd QAxe Plus Hydro. Now that said, there's a cool trick where we can actually make this even quieter than it is stock. And to set a baseline, let's take a look at the volume level here stock. And it runs about 49 dB here with all the stock settings and the fan set to 30%. Now, if we want to make it even quieter though, we can actually go and unplug the fan right back here that's designed to cool down the voltage regulator. And to do that, if you take a look at the left side of the display here, there's two different connectors here for the fans. If we go in and we carefully unplug this top connector here, from the back side, this is going to disconnect and turn off the fan there for the voltage regulator. And with this fan connector here unplugged, the voltage regulator fan on the bottom is now turned off. And to see just how much quieter it is, let's go ahead and take a look. And so my sound meter is now reporting just over 40 dB instead of closer to 49. And this is a very noticeable difference in practice. I find that with this fan unplugged, this miner is no longer annoying to run nearby me here in my office. Now with that fan plugged in, the voltage regulator is going to run a little over 40 degrees Celsius with the stock settings and hash rate. And if you unplug the fan, then the temperature will rise about 15 degrees Celsius or so, closer to 55 degrees Celsius. And so you're still well within the safe temperature range here, even with that fan unplugged. If you want to get into overclocking, obviously you're going to start hitting those limits much faster. But if you're prioritizing a quiet hashing experience, especially if you want to run the miner inside in your home, this is a nice way to keep things extra quiet. Either way though, I've really been enjoying this Nerd QAxe Plus here with this voltage regulator fan unplugged because it keeps things so much quieter. And lastly, I also find that this works best closer to the stock hash rate settings. So you can see I've got right here the stock frequency and voltage settings here, and I've got the fan set to a manual 30%. If I want to start bumping it up here to like 550, for example, we'll save that. And now the fan is actually going to start to crank up and get noisy. And this is despite the fact that I still have the fan set here to 30%. And so if you really want to keep it quiet, you're going to want to stay down closer to the stock settings here. If you want to get into overclocking or something, you can totally do that as well, but you're probably going to want to keep all the fans plugged in and whatnot. And then finally, I guess the last thing to mention, I'd love to see something similar for the Nerd QAxe Plus Plus. From what I understand, they're working on a version of the Hydro edition here for the Plus Plus as well, if you want to get the higher hash rate and stuff. But either way, there's a cool trick to keeping this one extra quiet. And a big thank you to NerdQAxe Hydro over on Twitter for sharing some information about how to disconnect this and take advantage of this capability. And finally, if you'd like to pick up a Nerd QAxe Plus Hydro, I'll put a link in the video description to where you can order one as well. And if you're enjoying videos like this, learning all about different Bitcoin miners and kind of tinkering around and playing with them, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell so you can get notified for the next time one of these videos goes live. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you're all doing great, and I'll see you in the next one.